Iowa State was one catch away from spine-busting the Texas season. The best time of the year, basketball season, is upon us at the 40 acres and beyond, and somehow the New York football Giants are 5-1. We'll hit all this and more right now on College Crossfire.
Coming back to that 2021 MVP. He's better than Josh Allen. He's better than Baker Mayfield. He's not better than Mahomes. I can't say that. What?
You miss a kick, you get kicked. So, you know, bag money or whatever, some food inside them.
No, that is a great answer. How dare you? Oh, man.
Good evening, one and all, and welcome to College Crossfire, the best collegiate sports debate show in the world. I'm your host, Tommy Yarch, with a very bright light here to my right that looks great tonight, and it shines on our great contestants as we've got another great show lined up for you. Let's meet them. Starting on first base, our reigning champion, who is livid about the Ravens blowing 3 straight late-game leads and might take out John Harbaugh along with his best friend Wee Hoopin on TikTok if given the chance. It's our executive producer coming to the stage, Jordan Geelhoed. Welcome, Jordan. How's it going, man?
The great intro. I feel like Wee Hoopin after those Ravens losses, and he is livid on TikTok. Go and follow Wee Hoopin. Shout out. But yeah, feeling good. Weather's cooling down. I get to wear this this nice little pullover. I'm feeling nice. Yeah.
Beautiful polo sweater.
Thank you.
Not as beautiful Ravens football, but I'm sure they'll try to fix that up a little bit. Right next to him on second base, coming shortly after having to be shoved into a far right corner of the House Park press box with me to live stream a Texas high school football game this past Friday, it's Adam Ogburn. First of all, thank you. Second of all, how are you doing tonight, Adam?
Doing good, man. Glad to, congratulations on joining the Anderson Trojan fan club, man.
Go Trojans, baby.
There you go. Looking forward to a great show tonight. Should be a lot of fun. A lot of football to talk about.
Yeah, speaking of a lot of football to talk about, how about that Anderson-Lake Travis game? 22-21 at halftime. We were going crazy up there in the booth. We tried to stay impartial over there at Texas Line, but I couldn't
Not
help
an
it.
IHS fan. All Trojans, baby.
All Trojans. That's how we like to hear it. And last but certainly not least, making his Crossfire debut. He usually helps us out behind the scenes, but tonight he joins us in front of the camera. This time, welcome Courtney Machani to the show. Courtney, how's it going, man?
It's going good. It's going great. I'm excited to be here. I'm ready to talk some Texas football.
Oh, thank you so much for being here, Courtney. Super excited to have you in front of the camera this time. Let's get this show on the road, guys. We got a great show coming up for you. Texas played Iowa State last Saturday, but they didn't show up. No doubt the worst this team has played without Quinn Ewers as quarterback, as they narrowly avoid losing to Matt Campbell 4 years in a row with a 24-21 victory, thanks to a huge drop from Iowa State wide receiver Xavier Hutchinson that would have given Iowa State the lead late in the fourth quarter. Guys, looking back on the shaky performance, what's the biggest takeaway for the Longhorns heading into this week? Jordan, we'll start with you.
My takeaway is, well, first of all, Texas survived that game. They didn't win that game. They survived. I mean, they technically won, to be clear, but whatever. I'm not going to say that it was purely just based off luck, because that would discount a lot of the effort that the players put in, but let's just say there were a lot of things that had to happen in Texas's favor in order for Texas to come away with the W. I mean, come on, that Hutchinson drop, that shouldn't have happened. That was clearly some kind of divine intervention, right? I don't know. But as we saw from a few people at the post-game press conference, including Bijan Robinson, they said that Texas's team, the Texas team last year wouldn't have won this game. This year's team did. And so I think that there is a lot of stuff to improve with this Texas team, which we'll touch on later. But my takeaway is that this is a more resilient squad, a squad that's more equipped to come back from deficits, and I think that that is certainly going to come in handy with a tough stretch of road games coming up.
And certainly mental hurdles really challenged this team last year, especially after blowing that big lead to Oklahoma and Red River. After that, the roller coaster started going downwards for this Texas team and never really came back up. Adam?
Yeah, kind of similar to Jordan. I'm going to say the biggest takeaway, the maturity of this Texas football team. Like you mentioned, Steve Sarkisian said after the game, he said this team doesn't win this Iowa State game a year ago. And we saw it so many times last year, Texas blowing second-half leads, and it seemed almost inevitable Iowa State was going to drive down and get that game-winning touchdown late on. But Anthony Cook coming up with a big forced fumble. But you look at a team like Georgia, #1 team in the nation. They did this a couple weeks ago against Missouri. They had to outscore the Tigers 14-3 in that fourth quarter. Sometimes as a top football team, you can't play perfect all 12 weeks. Sometimes you just got to survive and advance. Texas found a way to do that, and their big players stepped up when they needed it the most. You look at that final offensive drive, 49 rushing yards on just 4 attempts from Roschon Johnson, Bijan Robinson, and then on that crucial 4th and goal, Xavier Worthy with an absolutely filthy route to get free. mature team and big players stepping up in big-time moments. That's what Texas is going to need coming up with this upcoming tough stretch.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but how about Worthy's whip route on that 4th and goal? Just masterful stuff from Steve Sarkisian. Courtney, close us out.
I can agree that it was a culture-building win and it was definitely needed for this part of the season, but I just think that Texas cannot start that slow anymore. I think that this was a win, it was a good win, but Texas continues to downplay their opponents too many times, and that definitely showed their defense started off slow. Ryan Watts obviously is way too valuable, and we obviously and Texas needs to really shore up their secondary for next week. They had a big win against Oklahoma last week, and they're looking towards Oklahoma State, and I just don't think that Texas was prepared for this win.
Absolutely, and I think losing Ryan Watts early in that game was certainly a huge factor and why they weren't able to guard guys like Xavier Hutchinson, who should have had that late game pass and just ended up dropping it. Rare stuff from the nation's leading wide receiver. Really good first question. Jordan, you're going to get the 3 points. I loved your point about the post-game press conference with Steve Sarkisian saying this team would not have won that game last year. That's going to get your differential there. Courtney gets the 2, Adam gets the 1. Moving on to our second question. The Longhorns head to one of the most difficult road environments in college football, that of course being Stillwater, Oklahoma, for a date with Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State. This is an experienced group led by Spencer Sanders. Feels like he's been in the orange and black basically his entire life. So what is Texas going to have to do in order to pick up a huge win in hostile territory when they haven't been on the road since they went to Lubbock a couple weeks ago? Adam, start us off.
They've got to figure out a way to get off the field on those 3rd and 4th downs. It was an ugly head against Iowa State again. The Cyclones 9 for 15 on 3rd downs. And you look at that second half, Iowa State converted 5 third downs. There were 8 or more yards, and that included that touchdown run by Hunter Decker that gave Iowa State the lead. That was on a 3rd and 9, so this Texas team has to figure out a way, and it's kind of twofold. First of all, the zone coverage from this Texas defense was abysmal. There were too many times where there are huge gaps across the middle of the field. They got to figure that one out because Spencer Sanders, he's coming off a 265-yard passing game. If he plays, bookies thinking maybe he's injured. If he plays, he'll take that Texas secondary apart if they have that many gaps again. And then also, Texas has got to figure out how to get a pass rush on the opposing quarterback. Too many times, Decker's just having all day back there for Iowa State just to pick the defense apart on those 3rd and longs. Only 1 sack from the Longhorns on Saturday, and they came on 2nd down from Mora Ojimo. So Texas, they've got to get pass rush to help out their secondary as well on those 3rd downs.
Talking with a good friend at Inside Texas today, Ian Boyd, and he said that he made a really good point when he said that Texas is one of the nation's best teams on 1st and 2nd down, and then they just can't translate that when it comes to the late downs like 3rd and 4th. You mentioned 9 for 15. That's a terrible statistic. You will never win a football game if your defense gives up 9 to 15 3rd downs. Courtney, your thoughts?
I'll go on the same lane. Texas has to get off the field at 3rd down and 4th downs. The next week, Oklahoma State is top in the nation and not allowing 3rd downs to happen. So I think Texas really needs to shore up that 3rd down and 4th down convergence, and they have to run the football. I know it's easier than it sounds, but Bijan Robinson and Roshan Johnson, just give them the ball, let them do what they have to do, and they're going to bring Texas to the promised land.
And last week, you know, an offense that really had a bunch of struggle points, I think, but the one bright spot was that running game. And, you know, Quinn Ewers played as clean of a game as he could, but he missed a couple of throws. But what was true for Texas last week against Iowa State was that run game, and we'll see how they fare against a good interior defensive line the Cowboys and Mike Gundy have. Jordan, close us out.
Yeah, I agree with both of y'all. I was going to say the same exact stuff he said about the pass defense. So I'm going to go with some of the offensive play calling. Not that it's been bad, but somewhat that has just been a little bit inconsistent. There are some times where Steve Sarkisian dials up brilliant plays like the Xavier Worthy whip route, but then there seemed to be a suspicious lack of play action really at all in the passing game this past week, which was, it seemed weird because Bijan and Roshan and Keelan Robinson were able to run the ball so well. And you'd think that for a team that looked a little bit stagnant in the passing offense, Quinn Ewers did fine. There were some drops by Casey Kane was the one that I mainly noticed, which had my blood boiling in the stands.
That was a 50-plus-yard touchdown.
That's right, that's right. But yeah, I think that just got to iron out a little bit of that stagnation when it comes to the passing offense, because Texas is, with the Texas defense how it is, the offense has to keep up with the opposing team's offense. And if we're struggling to do that against Iowa State, then I shudder to think what Oklahoma State is going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Oklahoma State, one of the more well-known defenses in the Big 12. Obviously, losing their defensive coordinator to Ohio State doesn't help cases, but nonetheless, they're still in that little transition period where they're playing solid ball, but also a lot of inexperienced guys on that Cowboy defense. We'll see how that turns out on Saturday. Adam, you're going to be getting the 3 on this one. Courtney, you get the 2, and Jordan, you get the 1. So we're all tied, 4 points across the board, heading into our last question of this first trifecta. The men's basketball team opened the season at number 12 on the AP poll and finished at number 16 a season ago. So there's a lot of new faces within this program, guys. Most notably, Tyrese Hunter transferring in from Iowa State, and a promising freshman in Dylan Mitchell joining a group of guys who were also newcomers a season ago but contributed immediately in Timmy Allen and Marcus Carr. All that to ask, who is the best player on this Texas men's basketball team? Courtney, start us off.
You said it in the read right there. I think Tyrese Hunter is the best player on this team. He, Big 12 Freshman of the Year. He's coming in as the number 1 ranked transfer for this year. He can run the motion offense to perfection, which is what the Beer offense is all about. And he's going to get people open. He's going to get Marcus Carr, whose real position is more of a solid 2 guard, some more looks, and he's going to bring Texas to, what I believe, a Sweet 16 run.
Wow, bold prediction there from Courtney. Before this season even starts, he's saying that Texas makes a Sweet 16 run. I think with a true point guard like Tyrese Hunter, who comes into this program that's really needed one, because Marcus Carr was sort of that, but he's more of a shooter. Andrew Jones was kind of the same way. So they get a scoring true point guard that can certainly help this offense that at times struggled last year. Jordan?
Courtney stole my answer. I was going to say Tyrese Hunter too. Yeah, I think that the points you make about having a true point guard really ring true. I think that it's important to get a guy like Hunter who can play both sides of the ball. You could see when Iowa State faced LSU in last year's March Madness, Hunter had 23 points, but he also had 5 steals, so he's pretty good on both offense and defense. I think that he's going to get ample opportunities in this Texas offense, and that he is more than capable of cashing those in.
All right, 2 good answers. Adam?
We'll go Timmy Allen, just the experience he's going to bring. You look at Tyrese Hunter, obviously, Big 12 Freshman of the Year last year, but he's still going to only be a sophomore. And they got another one I'm excited to see is Arteria Morris, but again, just a freshman. So I think the experience that Timmy Allen is going to bring this team is going to be invaluable. He's a guy who knows Coach Beard's system. He's already played under for him a year. And a guy, just a little side tangent, a guy I'm looking maybe breakout year, held Dylan Dessou back from that knee injury, and Timmy Allen said he's looking a lot better. Shot 37% from 3 in Vanderbilt. So you get guys like an experienced guy like Timmy Allen and maybe another experienced guy like Dylan Dessou stepping up. This Texas team could take another big step forward this year.
I'm really surprised none of you guys said Dylan Mitchell. I really think that Dylan Mitchell is going to be one of those guys similar to Greg Brown when he came to Texas. He's not going to be here long. The Montverde Academy graduate and true freshman is going to be an absolute baller for this Texas team. Just pure athleticism and all-around basketball, really good on that front. Courtney, you're going to be getting the 3 on this one. Adam, you get the 2. And Jordan, you go ahead and close us out with the 1. So we are through 3 questions here in the opening block, and our standings go as so. Courtney leads the way in his debut with 7 points. Right behind him in second is Adam with 6, and rounding out the top 3 is our reigning champion, Jordan, with 5. Still a lot of time left to go. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on College Crossfire. Welcome back into College Crossfire. Let's start with a quick score recap. In first place in his debut with 7 points, it's Courtney. In second with 6, it's Adam. And in third with 5, It's Jordan. Don't bah humbug too early. We still got a lot of time to go.
Not done yet. Still fighting.
Yeah, the executive producer's still fighting. Let's get back on track, guys. MLB playoffs have been incredibly entertaining from the get-go, with the Astros and Mariners playing a 6-hour game to the Yankees and Guardians being forced to play Game 5 of the divisional series one day and then turn around and play one of the championship games, Game 1 of the championship series the next day. Now that the divisional series are in the past, what was the biggest shocker of the first round? Courtney, you start us off.
I think it has to be the Dodgers losing. The Dodgers cannot lose to the Padres. Best offense in the league, top 10 defense. It's inexcusable. This is one of the biggest disappointments I've ever seen in baseball. The run differential that they broke records for did not matter. When the offense fell flat in games 2 and 3, they could not produce anything. And in Game 4, when they actually wanted to build up some type of offense, they fell flat once again. I just think that it's one of the worst shockers. I've never seen anything like that in baseball.
Well, tell us how you feel about the Dodgers. Certainly a big upset there in Los Angeles. Adam?
Yeah, I got to agree with Courtney here. And how about this? The Padres lost to the Dodgers in all 6 series they played in the regular season. And the Dodgers won 22 more games than the Padres in the regular season. That's the biggest differential of one team eliminating the other since the 1906 World Series. It's just a huge upset. When you look at the Dodgers, they can spend all the money in the world they want, and they don't even take it to a 5th game. The Padres close them out in 4, and they close them out with a dramatic 5-run inning. I mean, you got to give up to the Padres. Definitely the most shocking result to see the #1 team, a team that had that historic a season, 111 wins, second most in MLB history, gone at the first hurdle.
I'm certainly surprised, to say the least, and now the Padres facing the Phillies in the championship series. Jordan?
Both of y'all were going to, y'all both stole my answers. I was going to say the Dodgers too, but in interest of spicing it up, even though I am a LA native, and by LA native I mean I lived there for a semester, I wanted to talk about them, but it's fine. I'm going to go with, in terms of shocker, not really a shocking loss, but I think a shocking win, and that's the Phillies twice. I thought that they were kind of dead on arrival coming into the postseason, but they really seemed to kind of hit their stride, beating the Mets, beating the Braves, which I didn't expect. I don't think anybody really expected, and they gave the Padres the work in Game 1, and so I think Bryce Harper's going off. That team is looking really good, and I don't think I or anybody else really expected that to happen.
Yeah, certainly. Three answers where nobody really expects any of this to happen. The Dodgers, one of the greatest teams statistically in MLB history, and then the Phillies kind of coming out of nowhere in the playoffs. But hey, if you want to get hot, October is the time to get hot, and for that reason, Jordan, you're getting 3 on this question. Adam, you get the 2. Courtney, you get the 1. Makes things a little bit different here. We talked about college basketball earlier, and now I want to move to the NBA a little bit. As the season opened up last night, Celtics and Warriors pick up their first wins this season over the 76ers and Lakers, respectively. Most of the rest of the NBA begins their seasons tonight, so it's time to ask the question that we're going to look back on later this year and wonder, why did I say that? Who is your dark horse team in the NBA this year? Adam, you go first.
How about the New Orleans Pelicans? Zion Williamson is back healthy. I mean, this was a Pelicans team that took the Suns to 6 games last year. I think they'll only be better this year. You have the experience of Brandon Ingram, of Larry Nance, and then you look at a guy like Alvarado, who was such a pain in Chris Paul's side during the NBA playoffs. And he was an undrafted rookie out of Georgia Tech last year. So you look at this growth. You get Zion Williamson back healthy. That's the big one, though. Jackson Hayes eventually healthy. They got some pieces on this Pelican team, and how about C.J. McCollum? He's the one where you get into the postseason and you need a shot, you need a clutch 3 late. He's a player you can rely on. A lot of pieces in this Pelicans team. Now they've got another year of experience under their belt. Going to be a fun one to watch in the West.
I was talking to our Mike's guy tonight, Justin Gooseman, before the show, and I said that the Pelicans have a real shot of winning an NBA championship this year for all those guys that you mentioned, and checked in on their game against the Nets before the show, and they were blowing them out of the water. And McCollum, Zion Williamson, and Brandon Ingram all had 20-plus points in that one, so certainly going to be a lot of fun to watch in the Bay. Courtney, your thoughts?
Yeah, as a New Orleans Saints fan, I had to go with their counterpart. The New Orleans Pelicans are destined for a deep playoff run. They almost beat the #1 seed Suns last year, which if a few injuries did not happen, I believe they beat that team. They have leadership with C.J. McCollum, president of the National Basketball Association, who can take them far. They have the person who I believe is better than Ja Morant, Zion Williamson, who's the better player of that draft class, who's going to be on a revenge tour. He's going to prove to people why he was touted as one of the biggest prospects. And they also have a good bench and some good role players that can get hot early. So I think New Orleans Pelicans, and they have a pure scorer in Brandon Ingram, who should never let the Lakers, and I think that they're destined for a run.
Yeah, that's very evident that he shouldn't have left the Lakers after last night. That's a very bold prediction, saying that Zion Williamson is better than John Morant. Certainly think, at least right now, Morant is a better player just because he's had a little bit more experience under his belt. But Williamson certainly has the promise to become one of the league's best players. Jordan, finish us out.
Pelicans are a great answer, but I'm going to say don't sleep on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Right? They made the playoffs via the play-in tournament last year, and they gave Memphis the work, even though they did end up losing in 6 games. But this offseason, they made a splash signing in Rudy Gobert, who's not the sexiest name, you know, in the whole league, but he's a really, really solid player, solid defensive player who is a great rim protector, which the Timberwolves really need. They're ranked 18th in points in the paint, and so having Gobert there is certainly going to cut that down. They, of course, have the workhorse Karl Anthony Towns, who can score from virtually any spot on the court. And my man, Anthony Edwards, I know this isn't an MVP question, but if we're talking dark horse MVPs, I got Edwards at the top. I really like Anthony Edwards. I think he's only going to get better. Talk about great prospects, you know. But I think they didn't give up 4 first-round picks for Gobert to not make a deep playoff run. They got all the tools to make it. Why not them?
Well, I think Anthony Edwards is a dark horse MVP. If you turned all the lights in this studio off, that's how dark of a horse it is for Anthony Edwards.
Man,
to
don't
win
sleep.
MVP.
Don't sleep on Anthony Edwards.
He's a great player, don't get me wrong. But MVP, I don't know about that. I think there's too many pieces around him.
No, man, this guy, he's going to, Luka, nah.
That's my pick. That's my pick right there.
Giannis, maybe.
Luka's my pick this year for MVP. Was also talking about that with Justin before the show and sent it in the TSTV group chat last night to our good friend Joseph Duffy's positive reaction. So for this question, Adam, you'll be getting the 3. I love your point about the Pelicans as an overall team, and then after that, Courtney, you get the 2. Jordan, you get the 1. Makes things a lot more interesting. We've got a very close one as we head into our last question of this set. How about the state of New York, guys, in the NFL? The Giants and Jets have been the laughingstock of the NFL for a few years, but now it seems like they may be turning a corner. The Giants are 5-1, and the Jets are 4-2 heading to Week 7 of the season, but there's still a lot of time to go this year. That being said, let's take a look at the entire NFL. Who is the most overrated team right now with the highest chance of falling off their high horses? Jordan?
I don't even know if they can be considered for this question because you may think that they have fallen off already, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are broken right now. Look, any team with Tom Brady under center can't really be fully counted out, but even he looks out of sorts. He's got problems on and off the field, and I mean, his personal issues are his business, but there's something clearly affecting his mental state from the press conferences where he looks just drained to the fact that he's yelling at players on the sideline. Like, come on, you're Tom Brady. You can't be doing that. But even then, I mean, his offensive line is held together with duct tape and string. They lost a lot of starters in the offseason, and the wide receiver room been ravaged with injuries too. Chris Godwin still dealing with lingering effects from that ACL, and Julio Jones hasn't seen the field since Week 2. Not to mention they're dead last in the league in rushing yards per game. And so I think that while, again, they can't fully be counted out, any team that can't even put up 20 points against Pittsburgh of all teams, there's clearly something wrong there. And so I think I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucs miss the playoffs this year, even if they play in one of the weaker divisions in the league.
Yeah, Tom Brady has a lot going on in his life, to say the least, and he's missed practices. He's been late to games and things like that. Not late to games, but you know what I'm saying. Out of sorts.
Yeah,
certainly
he missed the
like
Saturday walkthrough.
That's what I meant. Missing Saturday walkthroughs. All this stuff just sort of adds up, and especially with a guy of his age, he's really getting up there. Even though it seems like he could play till he's 50, it definitely takes a toll. Adam?
Now, I'm a massive believer in the Lions, but the whole NFC North is garbage, so I'm going to go with the Vikings to top that as the most overrated team, 5-1. I mean, you look at the teams they beat. They beat the Bears. The Lions kind of choked down the stretch against them. They pulled one out against the Saints, and they beat the Dolphins, who were down to Skylar Thompson and Teddy Bridgewater eventually came in that game. I mean, you look at the statistics. The Vikings, 19th overall in offense, 25th overall in defense. Not flattering numbers for a 5-1 team. You just wonder, can Kirk Cousins get it done down the stretch, in key games, and I'm just not sure he can. Dalvin Cook, he's kind of had an up and down year overall. Pretty successful, 450, but they've struggled to run the ball at times, it seems like. And then we'll see if they can get it done down the stretch. But I think they might look way better than they are just because of how weak the NFC North is. I know you're shaking the head, but I mean, come on, you're watching the Bears game last Thursday. Ignore him, please. There's no way to save the Bears.
Chicago
Bears. To save the Bears.
There's plenty of ways to save the Bears. I could go on for 30 minutes about
the team.
No, can't defend them. You can't defend them this year, though. That's a terrible football team.
I can defend him because I can give you about 30 different ways to fix the team. Chicago, if you're listening, Virginia McCaskey, hire me, please. Let me fix this process. I've watched the Bears since I was a little tiny child in the streets of Chicago. Please, just let me fix this team. It's so easy, but you guys just don't know what you're doing.
It's a terrible division. Aaron Rodgers got a bunch of no-names running around him.
You know what? That goes for John Harbaugh, too. Let me coach the Ravens.
Don't let him get on a high horse.
Hey, the Texans fired Jack Easterby, though, so at least we're happy news.
The world is progressing somewhere if the Texans finally let go of Jack Easterby. It seems like they should have done that about 5 years ago. All of that to finally lead into Courtney's answer.
I think I'm going to add fuel to a fire to NFC North. They are a terrible division, and that's why the Vikings are the most overrated team in the NFL. They beat the Saints in London off a double doink, which should have never happened. Literally never happens in the NFL. They beat a Packers team, which obviously has more issues than we really think at that time. This past week, they beat a Dolphins team who had no injuries all over the place, and they were still out yarded by over 200 yards. This team is going to fall down quickly by Kirk Cousins. Without Justin Jefferson, they have no offense, and they're going to show why the NFC North is the worst division of football.
Not only did you disrespect my NFC North, but you also brought back the PTSD of the double doink when the Bears played the Eagles a couple of years ago, and Cody Parkey was never allowed on the streets of Chicago once again. So for that, Jordan, you're going to be getting the 3 on this one. Adam, you get the 2. And for the disrespectful notion towards the NFC North, Courtney, you get the 1 on this one. All jokes aside, that was definitely all 3 good answers. And I think your good point, Courtney, was that Kirk Cousins just absolutely has no idea how to play when the lights shine too bright. We're 6 questions in with 3 to go, and it's still wide open on the leaderboard. Leading the way now is executive producer Jordan with 14 points. Right behind him in close pursuit, Adam with 13 and closing us out. Not too far behind as well as Courtney with 11. We've got 1 more round to go, and you know what that means. Rapid Fire is coming up next on College Crossfire. Fire round, where the points are double, so it's anyone's game. If you're new to the show, Rapid Fire is our 3rd and final segment where our contestants will have to answer 3 questions, just like they have the last 2 rounds, but this time they have no idea what I'll be asking them, so everything is off the dome. They say defense wins championships, but that's just not true. Rapid Fire wins championships. Let's find out who tonight's champion will be. Here we go. Jordan Whittington has started a nice little pregame ritual where he'll go chat it up with Texas mascot Bevo before he warms up. We saw Whittington celebrate with Bevo in the end zone on Saturday after scoring his first touchdown of the season, and it was an all-around wholesome moment. Contestants, if you could be best buds with a collegiate mascot, who would it be and why? Anybody can start.
You know what? I'm going to go with, and this might be out-of-the-box pick, but I'm going to say the Stanford mascot that is literally a tree. 'Cause it's just funny. I mean, like, palling around with the elephant for Alabama, that's fine, you know, palling around with the dog for Tennessee, whatever, but palling around with the tree, everyone's like, what are you doing there? You know, you go out, have a drink with the tree, like, that's just funny, right?
Note to self, Jordan wants to take the Stanford Cardinal out for a drink, so in Palo Alto, if you're watching, hit him up. He's an LA boy now that he's been there for a semester.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
But California, he'll treat you right.
Gotta go with Uga, man. Dogs are man's best friend. I think bulldogs, man, they're just funny looking. So I gotta go with Uga.
Well, man, you can't diss someone you're about to be best buds with.
Wow.
Come on, man. Uga, I'm sorry about that. I think you're cute for one. I don't think Bevo thinks you're cute after we saw you in the Sugar Bowl a couple of years ago, but that's in the past.
Probably go with the Ohio State Buckeyes mascot. I'm pretty sure it's just a face. He looks like a cool guy, though. Like, he looks like a guy I'd love to just go out with and just drink with and, party with, honestly.
Brutus.
Yeah, I think he's a cool guy, and I'd love to get to know him more.
Hey, you started the game day mascot head tradition. That's the first one Course ever put on.
He's iconic, too.
Hey.
He's an iconic guy.
Yeah, man, you guys really wanted to take your mascots out for a drink. I was just looking for you guys to be friends.
I feel like
but
they
I
got
guess-
stories to tell.
Yeah, you got plenty of stories to tell amongst those three
Hey,
programs.
that tree is ugly, though.
I mean, it's a tree. You can't really craft a pretty tree. I mean, a cardinal, I guess, is pretty nice.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of trees. So for that, Jordan, you'll get the 6 on this one. Courtney, you get the 4. Adam, you get the 2. Just because you called Ugga ugly. Come on, man. You can't do
His
that.
name
is
is
Ugga.
It's called football royalty. But that's not, it's not ugly, it's Ugga. Come on, man. Next question. In one of the best college football games in recent memory on Saturday, Tennessee upset Alabama in Neyland Stadium 52-49, the first victory that the Volunteers have had against the Crimson Tide in the Nick Saban era. It was a huge win for Tennessee as a program and Josh Heupel, but it was an even bigger win for the Volunteer faithful who had been waiting 15 years to defeat Alabama, and they celebrated accordingly, storming the field and even tearing down the goalposts in the end zone, and then proceeding to carry them out of the stands, as you see there in that image, and throw it into the Tennessee River, capping off one of the best college football atmospheres and experiences ever. Contestants, if you were to storm the field in a huge win like that, what would you try to grab and take home as a souvenir? Anybody can start.
I think they bust them out at a lot of football games, especially when it's colder, but they have those really, really big heating things that just shoot a bunch of heat. They have like the warning signs that say extremely hot, don't put. I would take one of those and put it in my room for when it gets really cold at night.
So I just want to ask, when is it ever going to get cold enough for you to put basically a rollable furnace in your room? It seems like a bit of an odd choice.
There's like 10 nights a year in Austin where, it gets below like 40, so I would do it then, yeah.
I don't know if you need to get blasted by heat under 40 degrees.
If
but
it's
hey,
free, I'm taking it,
Yeah, if it's free, you might as well. I don't know how you're going to get a fan out of there. I don't know if security's going to let you out with that. But if you can get out with the goalposts, you can certainly do whatever you want, I guess, at this point. Guys?
So there's the iconic Marshawn Lynch clip where he's at Cal riding around the golf cart.
Yeah, the golf cart.
That's exactly what I'm going to take. I'm going to take the cart. I'm going to ride out just like Marshawn did, and I'm going to take all my friends. We're going to go on the cart. We're going to have a night out on 6th Street.
There you go. So Courtney is running over everybody who's rushed the field in this golf cart and then proceeding to take it out with his buddies on 6th Street. Please let me join you if that ever does happen. Adam?
Oh man, I'm gonna go piece the field, man. How about that? You can put that in your room or whatever. So I'm gonna go piece the field. You always remember that game. So it'll be nice keepsake to have in your room.
All right, so we've got a movable furnace, a piece of the field, and a golf cart. 3 interesting answers and 3 good answers. Courtney, you're getting the 6 on this one just because I would want to join you on that golf cart ride. Adam, I love the memorabilia bit there. I have pieces of dirt from Derek Jeter's last game, so I certainly understand that. I just can't see a fan getting out of the stadium, to be completely honest with you. I understand.
I just don't see the vision.
And that's fine. You know what? You got your own vision, and you do you. All right, guys, last question for all of the marbles. In the early goings of the Yankees-Guardians divisional series, Cleveland's Josh Naylor hit a home run off of Garrett Cole and proceeded to rock the baby on him as he rounded the bases, and that ultimately backfired horribly with the Guardians losing the series and Naylor being forced out at second base for the last out, where Yankees players immediately started celebrating in the same way as Naylor went back into the dugout. You see him celebrating there. Yeah, that just did not end out too well for him. Anyways, if you hit a massive home run in the playoffs, how are you celebrating as you go around the bags?
If it's a walk-off, you gotta do that Minecraft thing, the L dance. You're doing that all the way around. Yeah, Fortnite. God dang it.
Guys, Adam just showed his age.
Adam doesn't play games.
Adam is an old man.
Not in FIFA. Yeah, no, you're doing the Fortnite taking L dance. If you hit a walk-off, you're doing that.
Taking the L dance, says the elder statesman, Adam Ogburn. All right, we got one, guys.
So LeBron has a classic celebration where he does this 2 times, pumps his chest. I'm doing that the whole time, just to really let them see I just beat you. I just beat you, and I think that's one of the coldest moves I've seen in terms of celebrations. So I'm doing the LeBron move.
Yeah, LeBron's certainly one of the coldest to ever do it. Jordan?
I think anytime someone hits a big home run, they always take their sweet time running the bases. I'm going to lengthen that out even more. I'm just going to just start walking. Just start strolling. I don't smoke, but if I'd have like a cigarette behind my ear, I'd just like light up a smoke and just be walking around the bases. No one can stop me. I already hit the home run. Right, so I'm just going to take my sweet time, savor the moment.
Second baseman's breaking your nose.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
no way
If
you
you're
can
walking around the
If you
bag.
even take the L dancer for break your nose too.
I would love to, just personally off the air, if we ever get a chance, I promise you this on Twitter, if we ever get the chance, I will take Adam Ogburn to a ballpark and have him take the L around all 4 bases and post it on Twitter for our loyal viewers to watch us. 3 great answers and just a really good show. What a great way to close this one out. But as you all know, there can only be one winner. Tonight's College Crossfire champion is, drumroll please, in his debut, Courtney. Ooh. Courtney, congratulations. You have won College Crossfire in your debut. It doesn't happen often, but boy, you're a special talent. Cece, do we have time for FaceTime? Yes, we do. Courtney, take it away.
Okay, definitely was not expecting it, but I like to thank everyone. I like to thank my mom, I like to thank my dad, I like to thank my parents. I already said that. I like to thank my brothers for this win. I definitely prepped for this, and I can't wait to be back here next week for another round.
Machani family, we love you. Courtney loves you, and he did such a great job tonight. Super proud of him. Great to have you on the team, and great to have Adam and Jordan on with us as always tonight. You guys batted it out, and this is one of the closest College Crossfires we've had in a while. So all around, great show. Congratulations again to Courtney for winning it. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. That'll all do it for us here in the studio. Before you go, make sure to remember to come back on Friday mornings for the 1-0 Sports Show with Mr. Adam Ogburn and Monday nights for College Press Box. Thank you to our live studio audience for coming out and being great as usual tonight. For our contestants, everyone in Master Control, our executive producer Jordan Geelhoed in front of the camera, but back behind the scenes is Samantha Pearl taking care of us in Master Control, and all the other great folks at TSTV. My name's Tommy Yar saying good night, and we'll see you next time.